Bill Gates. From Harvard Dropout to architect of the digital age, in the story of human progress, there are a few rare individuals who don't just live in their time, they define it. Bill Gates is one of those people. When we hear his name, we often think of Microsoft, the giant software company that transformed the way we work, learn, play, and connect. But to stop there would be to miss the deeper significance of his journey. Gates is not only a technological visionary, he is a symbol of relentless curiosity, lifelong learning, and later, one of the greatest philanthropists the world has ever seen. So why is his story worth studying today? Why should we care about Bill Gates in a world that has already moved beyond the floppy disk, the Windows 95 startup sound, and the clunky beige computers of the past? The answer lies in the universal lessons embedded in his life. First, Gates proves that success never follows a fixed path. He was a college dropout, a young man criticized as lucky or privileged, someone who bet everything on an industry that barely existed at the time. He stumbled, he made mistakes, and he was often misunderstood. But it was precisely through those risks and failures that he found his direction, built Microsoft, and laid the foundations of the digital revolution. His life reminds us that the world does not reward certainty. It rewards courage, vision, and persistence. Second, Gates shows us that knowledge and vision matter more than titles and credentials. Despite leaving Harvard without a degree, he never abandoned learning. Instead, he cultivated a lifelong habit of reading and intellectual curiosity. Gates famously reads about 50 books each year, across subjects ranging from history to medicine to artificial intelligence. For him, books are shortcuts to the minds of other great thinkers. That mindset of staying a student forever explains why, even after becoming the richest man in the world, Gates continued to evolve, adapt, and grow. Third, his journey inspires us because of his transformation from a fierce competitor to a humanitarian leader. In his younger years, Gates was known for his sharp elbows in business, his relentless drive to dominate the software industry. But after decades at the top, he chose a different mission: to give away most of his fortune to fight poverty, disease, and inequality through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. From a symbol of capitalism, he became a living example of giving back to humanity. This shift shows us that true legacy is not measured by how much we take from the world, but by how much we return. Finally, Gates's story matters because it is a mirror for every ambitious soul. In an age of rapid change, where technology evolves faster than we can blink, his story challenges us to dream boldly, to act decisively, and to keep learning no matter where we are in life. When a young man from Seattle could reimagine the future and actually build it, what excuse do we have not to pursue our own vision with equal courage? Learning about Bill Gates is not about admiring the gap between him and us. It is about bridging that gap by adopting his mindset, his habits, and his way of thinking. It is about asking ourselves, what can I do with the tools I have today? How can I take a step closer to my potential? How can I too live a life that matters? Bill Gates' story is not just about computers or wealth. It is about the spirit of innovation, the courage to stand apart, and the willingness to dedicate one's life to something greater than oneself. That is why his journey continues to resonate, decades after he first typed out lines of code in a college dorm room. The early life of Bill Gates, the boy who saw the future. To understand the man Bill Gates became, we first need to look at the boy he once was. Born William Henry Gates III on October 28, 1955, in Seattle, Washington, Gates grew up in an upper-middle-class family. His father, William H. Gates Sr., was a prominent lawyer, while his mother, Mary Maxwell Gates, was a school teacher and later served on several boards, including that of the United Way and First Interstate Bank. From the start, Gates was surrounded by strong role models who valued education, discipline, and service to the community. His parents encouraged competition, ambition, and critical thinking, values that would shape his relentless drive in business and beyond. A curious and restless child. Even as a young boy, Bill displayed unusual intelligence and curiosity. He devoured books, encyclopedias, science fiction, biographies, anything he could get his hands on. Teachers noticed his remarkable memory and ability to solve complex problems quickly, but he was also restless, often bored in class, and sometimes found traditional schooling too slow for his fast-moving mind. When Gates was 13, his parents enrolled him at Lakeside School, a private preparatory school known for its rigorous academics. It was there that Bill encountered his first computer, a moment that would change not only his life, but the course of history. The spark of a passion in 1968, Lakeside School received a computer terminal connected to a General Electric mainframe. Most students barely paid attention, but Gates was captivated. For him, it was like stepping into another universe, a machine that could think, calculate, and respond to commands. He spent countless hours learning to program, writing his first simple games and software. It was at Lakeside that he met Paul Allen, a fellow student who shared his fascination with computers. The two would spend hours together, experimenting with code and dreaming about the possibilities of technology. They became inseparable partners, not just in friendship, but in vision. Early experiments and ventures Gates' obsession with computers grew. He and Allen found ways to get more computer time, even exploiting bugs in systems to extend their hours of practice. Far from being discouraged, this mischievous curiosity actually impressed the adults around them, who recognized their extraordinary talent. By the age of 15, Gates and Allen started their first venture, TrafoData, a company that used computer technology to analyze traffic data for cities. The project made only modest money, but it gave them invaluable experience in building software and running a business. More importantly, it cemented Gates' belief that computers had real-world applications beyond science labs and big corporations. Harvard and the big decision in 1973. Bill Gates entered Harvard University, one of the most prestigious schools in the world. There, he studied mathematics and computer science. But even as a Harvard student, his true classroom was the world of software. At Harvard, Gates reconnected with Paul Allen, and the two stumbled upon a magazine featuring the Altair 8800, one of the first personal microcomputers. They immediately saw the future. If ordinary people could own computers, they would need software to run them. This insight was a turning point. Gates and Allen wrote a version of BASIC, a programming language, for the Altair. The program worked flawlessly, and it marked the beginning of what would eventually become Microsoft. But pursuing this dream required a bold decision. In 1975, Gates dropped out of Harvard to focus full-time on building a software company with Allen. It was a gamble few understood at the time. Who in their right mind would leave Harvard to chase a dream in a still tiny computer industry? Yet Gates believed deeply that the personal computer was about to change the world, and he wanted to be the one to lead the revolution. The birth of Microsoft, with little more than passion, vision, and grit, Gates and Allen founded Microsoft, short for Microcomputer Software, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, close to the headquarters of MITS, the maker of the Altair. What began as two young men coding in their spare time would grow into the most influential software company on Earth. Bill Gates was only 20 years old. This was just the beginning. The world was on the edge of a technological explosion, and Bill Gates had positioned himself at its epicenter. The mindset of Bill Gates, a philosophy for innovation and impact. If you strip away the numbers, the billions in wealth, the market shares, the foundation grants, what truly defines Bill Gates is not what he owns, but how he thinks. His mindset, philosophy of life, and inner drive are what propelled him from a curious teenager in Seattle to one of the most influential figures in human history. The power of relentless curiosity from childhood. Gates displayed an insatiable hunger to know more. He never accepted knowledge at face value. He probed, questioned, and connected ideas in ways others often missed. Unlike many who stop learning once they achieve success, Gates doubled down on his curiosity the higher he climbed. He once said, "If you think you know it all, you've stopped learning. And if you've stopped learning, you've stopped growing." Books became his lifelong companions. He reads roughly 50 books a year, carefully chosen across disciplines: history, economics, science, philosophy, and more. To Gates, reading isn't entertainment, it's a discipline, a way to sharpen his thinking and broaden his worldview. This mindset kept him adaptable, ensuring he was always prepared for the next technological wave. For anyone aspiring to succeed, Gates's philosophy of relentless learning is a reminder: curiosity is not a phase. It is a lifelong engine of growth, optimism, rooted in rational thinking. Another defining trait of Gates's mindset is his ability to balance optimism with realism. He believes in humanity's potential to solve problems, but he doesn't indulge in blind hope. Instead, he applies data, logic, and scientific reasoning. For example, when he turned to philanthropy, Gates didn't just donate randomly. He studied global health statistics, spoke with experts, and analyzed where money could have the greatest impact. That's why the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation focused heavily on eradicating diseases like malaria and polio, issues that were both solvable and transformative for millions of people. This approach reveals Gates's deeper philosophy. Hope must be matched with action, and action must be guided by evidence. Long-term thinking. One of Gates's greatest strengths has been his ability to think long-term when others were focused only on the immediate. In the early days of Microsoft, while competitors built flashy products for quick wins, Gates obsessed over platforms, systems that could become the foundation for decades of growth. This mindset led Microsoft to focus on operating systems like MS-DOS and Windows, software that became indispensable for millions of businesses and households. Even in philanthropy, Gates' vision stretches across generations. He doesn't look for short-term wins, but asks, what will make the world healthier, safer, and more prosperous in 50 years? This long-term horizon gave him resilience. Temporary failures or criticisms never derailed him because he always measured success not by the day, but by the decade. A competitive fire-while Gates is often portrayed today as a gentle philanthropist. His rise in business was fueled by a fierce competitive spirit. He was relentless, sometimes even ruthless, in his pursuit of excellence. At Microsoft, Gates was known for his intensity. Employees recalled how he would challenge every line of code, every business plan, often pushing people beyond what they thought possible. He demanded precision, speed, and innovation, not because he sought perfection for its own sake, but because he believed the stakes were too high to settle for mediocrity. This drive came from a simple philosophy. If you're going to play the game, play to win. Gates never aimed to be good enough. He aimed to be the standard. Embracing failure as feedback, yet Gates's competitiveness was balanced by his pragmatism. He never saw failure as a final verdict, but as feedback. Microsoft had its share of flops. Products like the Zune, Windows Vista, or the early tablet PCs failed to capture the market. But Gates treated these not as defeats, but as experiments. Each misstep revealed insights that guided future innovations. This mindset, to fail fast, learn fast, and adapt fast, became part of Microsoft's DNA and later shaped how Gates approached global challenges in philanthropy. Wealth as a tool, not an end. Perhaps the most striking shift in Gates's philosophy came after he achieved unimaginable wealth. By the 1990s, he was already the richest man in the world. For many, this would be the finish line. But for Gates, it was just the beginning of a new mission. Influenced by mentors like Warren Buffett, Gates came to see money not as an end goal, but as a tool, a resource to be deployed for the greatest good. In 2010, he and Buffett launched the Giving Pledge, urging billionaires to commit at least half their wealth to philanthropy. Gates himself pledged nearly his entire fortune. This reveals a profound principle. True success is not measured by what you accumulate, but by what you contribute. A philosophy of balance through all of this. Gates has also been candid about his shortcomings. He has admitted that in his younger years he neglected balance, working long hours, sometimes straining relationships, and focusing narrowly on business. Over time, he learned that real fulfillment comes not from work alone, but from relationships, health, and service. This evolution shows the depth of his philosophy. Success is not static. It requires constant recalibration, reflection, and growth. The core principles of Bill Gates' mindset. If we were to distill Gates's philosophy into guiding principles, they might look like this. Never stop learning. Success belongs to those who stay curious. Think long-term. Play the decades, not the days. Be competitive, but use failure as a teacher. Strive to win, but let setbacks sharpen your edge. Base hope on evidence. Optimism is powerful when grounded in data and reason. Use wealth and power as tools for impact. Legacy is defined by giving, not hoarding. Balance ambition with humanity. Greatness is not only in what you build, but in the life you lead. These principles did not just create Microsoft. They created a way of thinking that continues to influence millions who look to Gates as a model of modern success. The journey of Bill Gates, defining moments. That shaped a legacy. Every great life story has its turning points, those decisions, opportunities, and risks that change everything. For Bill Gates, The path from a curious teenager to a global icon was marked by bold choices, strategic gambles, and relentless execution. His journey is not a straight line of victories, but a series of crossroads where courage and vision set him apart. The leap of faith. Dropping out of Harvard in 1973, Gates enrolled at Harvard, one of the world's most prestigious universities. To many, it was the pinnacle of academic achievement, the gateway to a guaranteed future. But for Gates, Harvard was not an endpoint. It was a launching pad. When he and Paul Allen discovered the Altair 8800, one of the first personal microcomputers, they immediately recognized its potential. They knew that computers were about to become personal, and software would be the key to unlocking their power. So at the age of 20, Gates made one of the boldest decisions of his life. He dropped out of Harvard to pursue this dream full-time. To his peers, it seemed reckless. To Gates, it was inevitable. He later said, "It's fine to celebrate success, but it is more important to heed the lessons of failure." By leaving Harvard, he wasn't chasing a diploma, he was chasing the future. The birth of Microsoft in 1975, Gates and Allen founded Microsoft in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Their mission was simple yet audacious, to put a computer on every desk and in every home. At first, Microsoft was just two young men writing software in a small office. But their timing was perfect. As personal computers spread, demand for user-friendly software exploded. Microsoft's first major success was providing BASIC for the Altair. Soon after, IBM approached them in 1980 to supply an operating system for its new personal computer. This was a defining moment. Instead of building something from scratch, Gates negotiated the rights to purchase an existing system, QDOS, adapted it, and delivered it to IBM as MS-DOS. The brilliance of the deal wasn't just the product, but the licensing. Gates kept the rights to MS-DOS, allowing Microsoft to sell it to other manufacturers. This single decision ensured Microsoft's dominance in the PC revolution. Windows, a revolution in user experience. While MS-DOS made Microsoft a force in the computer industry, it was Windows that transformed it into a global empire. Introduced in 1985, Windows brought a graphical interface to computers, making them accessible to millions of non-technical users. The launch was not smooth. Early versions of Windows were clunky and slow, criticized by many. But Gates persisted. He believed that graphical user interfaces were the future, and he was willing to weather criticism to get there. By the 1990s, Windows had become the dominant operating system worldwide, running on more than 90% of personal computers. This persistence reflected a core part of Gates's philosophy. See the future clearly, then hold your ground until the world catches up. Navigating competition and controversy, with success came fierce competition. Microsoft battled rivals like Apple, Lotus, and Netscape. Gates' competitive drive often earned him both admiration and criticism. In the late 1990s, Microsoft faced one of its biggest challenges, a U.S. government antitrust lawsuit accusing it of monopolistic practices. The trial was a humbling moment. Microsoft was ordered to change some of its business practices, and Gates faced intense public scrutiny. Yet, rather than break him, the challenge shaped him. He learned to see beyond competition and short-term victories, eventually stepping back from daily management at Microsoft to focus on larger issues. This was another turning point, the realization that his life's purpose extended beyond software. The transition to philanthropy in 2000. Gates stepped down as CEO of Microsoft, handing the role to Steve Ballmer. Though still deeply involved with the company, Gates increasingly turned his attention to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which he had established with his wife in 2000. At first, many were skeptical. Could a businessman used to dominating markets really make a difference in global health and education? Gates answered that question not with words, but with billions of dollars and a data-driven approach. The foundation tackled massive challenges, eradicating polio, fighting malaria, improving education systems, and addressing poverty. Gates brought the same rigor and long-term vision to philanthropy that he once brought to software. Today, the Gates Foundation is the largest private charitable organization in the world, with an endowment exceeding $50 billion. Through this shift, Gates redefined his legacy from tech titan to humanitarian leader. The COVID-19 pandemic, a voice of foresight. One of the most striking moments in Gates's public journey came in 2015, when he delivered a TED Talk warning that the world was not prepared for the next pandemic. He outlined the exact vulnerabilities that COVID-19 would later expose: lack of global cooperation, weak health systems, and insufficient preparation. When the pandemic struck in 2020, Gates was both praised for his foresight and criticized by conspiracy theorists. Yet through it all, he continued to advocate for vaccines, scientific solutions, and international collaboration. This episode highlighted his role not just as a businessman or philanthropist, but as a global thinker, someone unafraid to confront humanity's greatest challenges. The turning points that defined him looking back. Several key turning points shaped Gates's journey: dropping out of Harvard, choosing passion over security, licensing MS-DOS, a masterstroke that secured Microsoft's dominance, launching Windows, betting on the future of user-friendly computing, facing antitrust trials, learning humility and the limits of power, shifting to philanthropy, redefining success as impact, not wealth, pandemic advocacy, using his voice for global good. Each of these moments carried risk, criticism, or uncertainty. But together, they built a story of resilience, vision, and transformation. From tech titan to global citizen, Bill Gates's journey is not just about technology or money. It is about the courage to reinvent oneself at every stage. He began as a restless student, became a revolutionary entrepreneur, and then evolved into a humanitarian determined to use his fortune for others. His turning points remind us that life is not defined by a single success or failure, but by how we respond to the crossroads along the way. And in every crossroads, Gates chose vision over fear, action over hesitation, and contribution over comfort. The key lessons from Bill Gates' life: wisdom for every generation. When you peel back the story of Microsoft, the billions of dollars and the global headlines, what remains most valuable from Bill Gates' journey are the lessons, timeless insights into success, leadership, and life. Gates' path holds lessons not only for entrepreneurs, but for anyone seeking growth, resilience, and impact. Here are the core takeaways from his life, each illustrated by the principles and habits that made him extraordinary. Success is built on relentless. Learning. Gates' lifelong learning habit is legendary. He devours books, studies diverse fields, and constantly expands his knowledge. Even at the height of his success, he never stopped being a student. He once said, "Whether I'm at the office, at home, or on the road, I always have a stack of books I'm reading." The lesson? Never assume you've arrived. Curiosity fuels progress. The most successful people are not those who claim to know everything, but those who keep learning when others stop. Practical takeaway: make learning a daily habit. Read widely, ask questions, and be willing to explore beyond your comfort zone. Think long-term, not just for today. Gates built Microsoft not on quick wins, but on long-term strategy. His decision to license MS-DOS instead of selling it outright, his persistence with Windows despite early failures, and his philanthropic focus on global health all reflect his long-term vision. He played the game by decades, not by days. The lesson here is clear. Greatness comes from building for the future, not just reacting to the present. Practical takeaway: when making decisions, ask yourself not only what will this bring me now, but also where will this take me in 10 years? To embrace failure as feedback. Microsoft had its share of flops. The Zune music player, Windows Vista, and even early ventures like Trafo Data. But Gates treated each setback as a teacher. He once remarked, "It's fine to celebrate success, but it is more important to heed the lessons of failure." The key lesson is that mistakes are inevitable, but how you respond determines your trajectory. Gates never allowed failure to define him. Instead, he used it to refine his vision. Practical takeaway: don't fear failure. Analyze it. Ask, what went wrong? What can I learn? How can I improve next time? 4. Play to win, not just to compete. Gates's competitive fire was legendary. At Microsoft, he pushed his teams hard, questioned every assumption, and demanded excellence. His aim wasn't just to be good, it was to dominate. This intensity sometimes made him controversial, but it also propelled Microsoft to heights few companies reached. His philosophy was simple: if you're going to invest your life in something, commit fully and aim for the top. Practical takeaway: approach your work with seriousness. Don't settle for average. Strive to be the best in your field. Success requires discipline, and hard work behind Gates's brilliance was extraordinary discipline. In Microsoft's early years, he worked marathon hours, sometimes sleeping on the office floor. His passion was matched by work ethic. Talent alone doesn't guarantee success. Gates paired his intelligence with relentless effort, proving that vision only matters if backed by execution. Practical takeaway: build discipline into your life. Talent is wasted without consistent effort. Surround yourself with the right people. From Paul Allen to Steve Ballmer to Warren Buffett, Gates' success was shaped by partnerships and friendships. He valued collaboration and often sought out people who challenged his thinking. He once said, "Our success has really been based on partnerships from the very beginning." This highlights a critical lesson: no one achieves greatness alone. The right people push you higher, while the wrong people hold you back. Practical takeaway: choose your circle wisely. Build relationships with people who inspire, challenge, and support your growth. Measure success. Beyond money for Gates, the meaning of success evolved. At first, it was about building Microsoft into a global powerhouse. But later, he realized true success meant impact, improving education, fighting disease, and lifting communities out of poverty. He has said, "I measured success in terms of the contributions we made to society." This is one of the most profound lessons. Money and status are temporary, but impact endures. Practical takeaway: define your success not just by wealth or titles, but by the difference you make in the lives of others. Adapt and reinvent yourself. Gates didn't cling to one identity. He was a coder, then a CEO, then a philanthropist. At every stage, he reinvented himself, staying relevant to the challenges of the time. Many people get stuck in one chapter of their lives. Gates teaches us that growth requires reinvention. Practical takeaway: be willing to pivot. When circumstances change, adapt. Don't let your past limit your future. Use your resources to create change. Perhaps Gates' greatest lesson is about responsibility. He recognized that wealth and influence come with the duty to contribute. Through the Gates Foundation, he dedicated most of his fortune to solving humanity's greatest problems. He once said, "If you are fortunate, it is your responsibility to use what you have to give back." The lesson: no matter how much or how little you have, you can use your resources, time, money, skills, to make the world better. Practical takeaway: ask yourself, how can I give back? Even small contributions, when consistent, create ripple effects. 10. Balance ambition with humanity. Finally, Gates's life reveals the importance of balance. In his early years, he admits he was overly consumed by work, sometimes neglecting family and personal well-being. Over time, he learned that true fulfillment comes from balance: ambition paired with relationships, success paired with service. The lesson is that life is not a race to the top, but a journey toward meaning. Practical takeaway: don't lose yourself in ambition. Nurture relationships, health, and purpose alongside your goals. The essence of his lessons: if we summarize Bill Gates' life lessons into one idea, it would be this: live not just for what you can achieve, but for what you can contribute. He built Microsoft with brilliance, but his greatest legacy may not be software. It may be the millions of lives improved through his philanthropy and example. For us, his lessons are not abstract philosophies, but practical blueprints. Learn endlessly, think long-term, embrace failure, surround yourself with the right people, and always look beyond yourself. These are not just Gates' lessons. They are universal truths for anyone striving to live a life of purpose. Applying Bill Gates's lessons in your own life, from inspiration to action, stories like Bill Gates are powerful not because they create distance, a reminder of how extraordinary some people are, but because they offer roadmaps we can adapt to our own journeys. Gates' life is filled with principles that anyone, regardless of background or ambition, can put into practice. Let's explore how we can take the key lessons from Gates's philosophy and translate them into practical, actionable steps in our everyday lives. Cultivate lifelong learning. Gates reads about 50 books a year, not as a hobby, but as a discipline. You may not have time for 50 books, but you can still commit to continuous learning. How to apply this? Read at least 15-20 minutes every day. Pick books that expand your thinking: biographies, science, history, self-improvement. Keep a learning journal where you jot down key takeaways from everything you read, watch, or listen to. Treat curiosity like exercise. Just as your body needs regular training, your mind needs daily learning. Daily practice checklist. Read something new every day. Write down one idea you learned. Share or discuss it with someone. Think long-term in a short-term world. In a world obsessed with instant results, Gates' long-term vision was his competitive edge. He didn't just look at the next quarter, he thought in decades. How to apply this? Write down where you want to be in 10 years, not just next year. Break that vision into 1-year and 3-year goals that move you closer to it. When making decisions, ask, will this matter in 5 years? If not, it may not be worth your time. Daily practice checklist. Review long-term goals weekly and align daily tasks with your 1-year and 3-year goals. Eliminate distractions that don't serve your bigger vision. Redefine failure as feedback. Gates faced product failures, lawsuits, and criticism, but he turned each into learning fuel. How to apply this? After every mistake, write down 3 lessons you learned. Separate yourself from the failure. Failing at something does not mean you are a failure. Share your lessons with others. Teaching your insights strengthens your growth. Daily practice checklist. Reflect on one mistake each week and extract at least one actionable lesson, and apply that lesson to your next attempt. Play to win. Strive for excellence. Gates didn't build Microsoft by aiming to be average. His philosophy was, if you're going to do something, commit to being the best. How to apply this? Choose one area of your life or career where you'll aim for mastery. Don't just do the job. Ask yourself how to exceed expectations. Study the best in your field and model their habits. Daily practice checklist. Spend focused time improving a core skill. Push one step beyond your comfort zone. Evaluate your progress against the highest standards, not just minimum requirements. Build discipline and work ethic. Gates often worked marathon hours in Microsoft's early days. While balance is important, discipline remains a foundation of achievement. How to apply this? Design a daily routine that prioritizes your top goals. Use techniques like the Pomodoro method, 25 minutes of focus, 5 minutes of rest, to maintain productivity. Limit time spent on distractions, social media, mindless scrolling, by setting clear boundaries. Daily practice checklist. Start your day with your most important task. Eliminate one distraction each day. Track your focused hours, not just busy hours. Surround yourself with the right people. Bill Gates had Paul Allen, Steve Ballmer, and later Warren Buffett. These relationships shaped his growth. How to apply this? Audit your circle. Do the people around you inspire, challenge, and support you? Seek mentors who are where you want to be. Be intentional about networking, quality over quantity. Daily practice checklist. Connect with one inspiring person weekly. Thank or support someone in your circle. Limit time with people who drain your energy. Measure success. Beyond money. Gates realized that wealth is only meaningful if it serves a purpose. How to apply this? Write your personal definition of success. Include impact, relationships, and growth, not just money. Find small ways to give back, whether through volunteering, mentoring, or donating. Celebrate progress by how much you're contributing, not just earning. Daily practice checklist. Do one act of kindness each day. Track your impact, people helped, time given. Reflect on whether your goals align with your values. Be willing to reinvent yourself. Gates reinvented himself from a programmer to CEO to philanthropist. Reinvention kept him relevant and fulfilled. How to apply this? Regularly ask yourself, am I still growing or just repeating? Be willing to pivot careers, projects, or habits if they no longer align with your vision. See change as an opportunity, not a threat. Daily practice checklist. Reflect monthly on your growth. Try one new skill or habit every quarter. Say yes to opportunities that stretch you. Use your resources for good. You may not have billions, but everyone has resources, time, skills, and energy. Gates shows us to use them wisely. How to apply this? Dedicate a percentage of your time or income to giving. Volunteer your skills in your community. Share knowledge freely. Teaching is one of the most valuable contributions. Daily practice checklist. Give 15 minutes daily to helping someone else. Donate or contribute monthly to a cause you care about. Share your expertise without expecting anything in return. Done. Balance ambition with humanity. Gates admitted that in his youth, work consumed him. Over time, he realized that relationships, health, and purpose are equally vital. How to apply this? Prioritize family and relationships alongside work goals. Schedule rest and healthcare as seriously as you schedule meetings. Regularly reflect. Am I working for life or living for work? Daily practice checklist. Spend quality time with loved ones. And exercise or care for your health daily. End the day with gratitude, not just a to-do list. A personal action plan. Inspired by Bill Gates, to make Gates' lessons practical, here's a daily and weekly action plan. Daily. Read for 20 minutes. Write down one new lesson. I work on one high-impact task. Reflect on one mistake and its lesson. Do one act of kindness. Weekly. Review long-term goals. Connect with an inspiring person. Try something new to stretch yourself. Track contributions, not just achievements. I spend time nurturing relationships and health. By applying even a fraction of Gates' principles, you create momentum. The same kind of momentum that transformed a curious teenager into a world changer. The final message, living a life of vision and impact. Bill Gates' story is more than the tale of a brilliant programmer or a wealthy entrepreneur. It is the story of a man who constantly reinvented himself, from student to innovator, from business leader to philanthropist, from competitor to humanitarian. His life teaches us that success is not about where you start, but about how far you are willing to see and how deeply you are willing to serve. When Gates dropped out of Harvard, few could imagine he would become the architect of a digital revolution. When he stepped away from Microsoft, many doubted he could redefine himself as a philanthropist. Yet time and again he proved that vision, persistence, and adaptability are more powerful than circumstance. The real power of Gates' story lies not in the billions he made or gave away, but in the choices he made to put learning above credentials, to think decades ahead, not just days ahead, to treat failures as teachers, not verdicts, to use resources for impact, not indulgence, to balance ambition with a deeper sense of humanity. These are not lessons reserved for the rich or famous. They are lessons available to every one of us. Gates reminds us that the greatest success is not what we gain, but what we give. The call to action: you may not build the next Microsoft. You may not have billions to donate, but you have something even more important: the power to choose how you live, how you learn, and how you impact the world around you. Bill Gates shows us that vision is not enough without action, and ambition is not enough without responsibility. Each of us has the chance to combine both, to pursue excellence while also contributing to something larger than ourselves. If a curious boy from Seattle could look at a clunky computer terminal and see the future, what could you see if you dared to look further? If he could turn failure into feedback, what could you achieve if you refused to be defined by your mistakes? If he could dedicate his fortune to humanity, what could you do with your time, your talents, your opportunities right now? A legacy to live. By the final lesson of Bill Gates' journey is simple but profound. Success is temporary, but legacy is eternal. Companies rise and fall, technologies evolve, fortunes change hands. But the lives you touch, the problems you help solve, and the knowledge you share, those ripple far beyond your lifetime. Gates' legacy is not just Microsoft or Windows. It is every child vaccinated because of his foundation, every community lifted out of poverty, every student inspired by his story. And that kind of legacy is within reach for all of us, no matter our resources. Your turn, so the question is no longer about Bill Gates. It is about you. Will you commit to learning relentlessly, Will you dare to think long-term when the world tells you to settle for quick wins? Will you use failure as fuel instead of fear? Will you measure your success by the lives you touch, not just the goals you reach? Because in the end, the true lesson of Bill Gates is not that he was extraordinary, it is that he chose to live with extraordinary vision, discipline, and responsibility. And that choice is available to each of us, every single day. Closing words: Bill Gates' life story is both a mirror and a map. A mirror, reflecting the power of vision, persistence, and service within all of us. And a map, guiding us to build not just successful lives, but meaningful ones. As you close this chapter, remember his example. Live as a student of life. Dream bigger than what feels comfortable. Fail boldly, learn quickly, give generously. And above all, pursue a life that doesn't just add up in numbers, but multiplies in impact. Because one day, when the world remembers you, it won't be for the wealth you built or the titles you earned. It will be for the difference you made.